All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Eric Jones again. This is a video demonstration on how to draw a site plan. Let's get it a little bit much focus as we can. See if I can zoom in a little bit for you. What I have here, ladies and gentlemen, I actually have a site survey. This was provided to me from the client. And what I'm actually demonstrating here, here, from here, over to here, over to here, and over to here, back down, is the entire property that the client owns. And what this client did was actually subdivide this lot and turn one huge lot into a house with its own lot. So we got a new lot cut from it, from here to here, from here to here, and back down. And they have a piece of real estate with the property, and they have two brand new lots off of Shadowline Drive. Back here can be two more houses of the same value. So actually what this client actually did was purchase this property for investment purposes, had the existing house, remodeled it, cut two new lots off the property, and whether or not this client will sell these lots or build two new houses like it for rental properties. But that's not the point. Case in point is the client gave me a copy of his survey. This survey is valuable information for any landscape designer or irrigation designer when we are creating a landscape or irrigation plan. We can take this information and blow it up, and what I'm only concerned with is with the property starting here to there and back down. I'm worried about the house with its property. This is going to be two new driveways. So the first step in blowing this property map up, because this is something that any type of client can give you. If you don't have it, zoning, municipality, the zoning board or whatever should have this, but 9 times out of 10 your client's going to have a copy of it, especially if it's a new home. New home construction, I know it's declined here quite a bit lately, but the builders would have to have this to present to the developer to build. And if it's not there, if it's an older home and they've misplaced the survey or whatever, you can download information like this off of your geodata sites, depending on where you live. I know Forsyth County has an excellent geodata website, and we can pull very similar information, and that's how we teach our students, is to find it on geodata or ask the clients if they have a survey. Well, and the goal is to take this and get a site plan. And I've already taken the liberty, and it's been rolled up, so let me zoom back out. Put something out that's been rolled up. I've taken the liberty to go ahead and pre-draw this for this class presentation. And went ahead and did my sticky backs, had the client's name. This is going to be a planting plan, but it can be used for an irrigation plan too. Well, we're going to go ahead and design an irrigation plan. Got logo, got my stamps, scale, north arrow, and I've taken this piece of property here on the survey and I've blown it up. And it's a real simple, easy task to do if you know what you're doing. And that's why you are taking this class with your favorite landscape horticulturalist instructor. So, first step, guys, I've got a piece of, this is what I call trash paper. People call it bum-wide trash, sketch paper. You can buy rolls of it at your office supply stores. And another thing that I would need for this is I'm going to need some drafting dots. I want to go ahead and tape down my paper. So I'm actually going to take, I'm hoping this is zoomed out far enough for you guys. If not, we'll have to raise it up a little bit. So forgive me until I get the camera adjusted, but I like my new, I love my new little toy uh, for recording and projecting this on the overhead. So I'm going to take my T-square and I'm going to go ahead and square up my trash paper. Notice, if you've looked at the part 1 video, I've already got my pre-bordered paper. I'm not actually going to do that. I'm actually going to draw this survey on trash paper, and then I'm going to take it and convert it over to a nice vellum paper. And once I get that, and what I'm basically doing is when I get that lined up perfectly, I'm actually going to go ahead and then I'm going to tape this piece of paper down so that it doesn't move. And once I get this taped down, I'll adjust the camera so you guys can see a little bit better. But I'm putting my tape dots. This is holding my paper in place. And what this is doing, I'm using this cheap, inexpensive paper to draw it first before I take it over to the higher quality piece of paper. Because if I mess this up, I don't feel bad about ripping this up, getting mad, and really messing up. But if I did, a sheet of paper that costs $3 or $4, I'm not going to do that. This is very inexpensive. So let's go ahead and adjust the camera and get it squared with the world. I apologize, the first time using these new Ladybug overheads. But what I'm trying to do is give you guys a square picture to view from home through Blackboard or Moodle. At the college we use Blackboard. I do have a personal site, ericwjones.com, that I use Moodle. So I love them both. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Well, the first thing to do, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that the scale for this property is 1 to 50. It's located right here. So if you're at home watching this, go ahead in this course, go ahead and download the Chatillon Drive Survey. That's what it's called. That's the title of it. Chatillon Drive Survey. And I write that down in the corner so I'll know that this is always it when I file it. Well, we're at scale 1 to 50. The idea is to do an irrigation plan. We're going to go ahead and we're going to plan doing an irrigation system design for this property. The client has just called me on the phone and said we're going to sell that house. It needs an irrigation system. And by the way, do a landscape plan for it. So we're going to go ahead and do it, and we're going to fix it up for him. Well, I noticed that this is 1 to 50. I don't like drawing irrigation plans or landscape plans at 1 inch equals 50 feet. My favorites is 1/4 inch equals a foot, 1/8 of an inch equals a foot, and those are both on the architect scale. Or if I'm using my engineer scale, I'm going to do 1 inch equals 10 feet or 1 inch equals 20. Those are your 4 main design scales that you're going to see for landscape plans. In irrigation, you may occasionally see 1 inch equals 30, but the 4 is 1/4 inch equals a foot, 1/8 of an inch equals a foot, 1 inch equals 10, and 1 inch equals 20 feet. For this, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that we're going to use an 1/8 scale. And I based it on using an 18 by 24 sheet of vellum, the fancy paper that if you watched video 1, drawing the border, that was an 18 by 24. That's my favorite size to do a landscape or an irrigation plan. So how I come up to 1/8 is guys, I know my size paper. I'm 18 by 24. You kind of can scale, as you can see here, 73.94 plus 61.3. I know it's probably a little blurry here on the camera, but print this out, and you don't have to worry about it printing out the whole thing. I know this is on 11 by 17, but all we're concerned is if we get the site survey. We could care less about this information down here. So we've printed it out, we've got it. I know that I've got 73 .94 feet to the center line plus 61.3. Well, add those two numbers together and kind of look at your scale and look at the size of your piece of paper, and you can determine your orientation. The orientation for this project is we're going to draw our border at the portrait side. Got all of our information, the client information, my information, the seals and stamps, the north arrow, and the scale at 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. And we've orienting the house like this. So we're actually going to draw the house. We're going to draw it in the landscape orientation at 1/8 equals a foot. And if you didn't want to add, the actual back of the property line, we know from right here at the corner of the house, at the left corner where it says 1-story brick, and that corner to right here is 41 feet .79. So 41.79 feet. Well, go ahead and grab your architect scale, and we're at an 1/8. We're starting at our 0 here, so we're going to find 41.79. You're kind of right in there. So we're somewhere in there. So we know that's the width of the back piece of the property. And guys, and we may run into this when we finish drawing this site plan. The easiest thing to start with a survey is to draw something that you know. You know a house is pretty much square. From here to here and right here is typically going to be square. So I always start drawing my house before I do my property lines. That's the way I teach it in all my other classes, and this is how we're going to start. So we're going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of center it up. If I mess up or whatever, I can add extra trash paper either to the right or to the left. But I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to draw me a line. Got a line here. I'm going to go ahead and measure it. I'm going to go ahead and measure it in 1/8 scale, 1/8 scale. We're going to measure it 41.79 feet. And I'm sorry you see the back of my head when I lean over, but it's just the way it is. So I'm about 41 3/4 right there. So from here to here is the back, is this actual back line of the house. And you notice that with my survey that the lot's angled. Well, there's nothing wrong with actually taking it and doing your irrigation plan like that. See it happen all the time. So we've got our house. We're using our T-square and our triangle. We're going to take our triangle. I've gone ahead and drawn a line down. Well, we know that that line is going to be 9.2. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to measure just a hair, 9.2. And then we're looking at our survey. There's the 9.2. We're actually going to go ahead and draw 10 foot and 14.37 for a total of 24.37 feet. A little bit short. I'm having to flip the T-square over. Alright, so we've got the back part of the house. We've got And I'm going to go ahead and mark the 10 so we know where we're actually. And I apologize for that. We need to take this on out to 24.37. Bad boy Eric. And once we get that, we're going to mark our 10-foot mark. And then this should be 14.37, and it is. So we have our back line here of the house. Well, we know from here to here is 19.91, so we're going to go ahead and draw that down. So actually need a little bit longer T-square. As you can see, my T-square is a little short. And I've got my desk up against the wall over here, so it's making it a little bit tough. But I'm going to make it happen. Because we are smart landscape irrigation contractors. But I went ahead and drew a line straight down. Then I'm going to measure it. So we're at 19.91. So I've put my mark here at 19. Then I use the little hash marks, and I'm trying to get the 9.1, which is just a little tick. So there we have that. And then we can come over 14.37 and then 51.47. But better than that, we're almost finished drawing this house. Then we'll have to add the driveway. But with our 10-point mark previously, go ahead and draw that down. And what that is, this is a carport for the car driving. So there is our 14.37. It comes straight down from this point right here on the survey. So we have our carport. And the reason I keep a handy dandy eraser, I can erase lines that I don't need. Kind of gets you a little confused. Same thing right here. We don't need that right away. And now we can go ahead and draw the rest of my house. Original point there, remember I drew that line there a little bit long, and I measured from here over the back of the length of the house. So there we actually have the footprint of the house. And I'm going to go back and double check some measurements. I'm going to double check the back, make sure it's 41.79. And it is. We're going to make sure that from there to there is 24.37, and it is. Then we're going to check the front, which I need a calculator real quick. I'm smart, but not that smart. We have 14.37 plus 51.47. So we have roughly almost 66 feet for the front of the house. I'm actually a little bit off, so I can make those adjustments. So the next thing I'm going to do is go back and I'm going to make sure that I'm at 41.79, and what it is, I am just off a hair. So I did make a oops. Good thing about being on trash paper is that it makes it work. And see, if I was doing all this on my my good paper, I'd be messing up. Apologize again for the headshots, but I'm just scratching that out, and that is our house. And the bad thing about this, guys, and this is a trick of the trade as well, we know that we're here. I don't have that much more room, you know. You can actually see the house when I line it up. Yeah, I need a lot more. I need some more space in the drawing, so that's fine. That's perfectly fine. So, since that's happened, I'm going to go ahead and outline this. Go ahead and outline this with a Sharpie so I can see it, and I'm going to tape another piece of trash paper over the top of it. It's not a big deal. It happens a lot. That's why it's called trash paper. And notice I'm making all of my horizontal lines first to give them time to dry. I start at the top and I pull down. Let that dry a second. So there we go. There we actually have our property footprint of the house. Still need to add the chimney in, and we will here in a second. So we have our house. We've taken our house and we've put it in. We know that the chimney know that the chimney is going to come out, it's going to stick out 1.5 feet, and from the front corner is going to be 4.5 feet, and it is actually 5.5 feet wide. So I'm going to measure up 4.5 feet. We know it's going to be 5.5 feet wide. You can never have a big enough table. It's always you can cover it up really quick. Well, to begin with, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull these lines out. It's a lot easier to measure and then draw. So we know it's going to come out 1.5 feet. Now, which is small at, 1.5 feet. I mean, 1/8 inch equals a foot. But we're going to go ahead and pop this chimney out. Alright, so I scratch that out, and I know that this is my chimney. And guys, don't be afraid. This is a rough drawing. We haven't taken it to the what I call the pretty paper. We're still in our preliminary setup of the plan. So we've still got some stuff to do. We've got the house complete. We're going to go ahead and look at drawing in the sidewalk and the driveway and drawing in these property lines. So we're going to go ahead and make that happen. Well, so we know that right here we have carport 14 feet, well 14.37, almost 14.5 feet. It's weird how that works. If don't have to be at 0.37, guys. Drawing an irrigation plan or a landscape plan, we don't have to be that perfect. I mean, we're off a hair on this. It's fine. We're not actually framing the house and causing windows to be not square and stuff. We're working with the outside. We're just doing the footprint of the house. So if we're off a little bit, that's perfectly fine. I'm actually right on it, but if you can't get to that point, that's fine. But we know from here to the front of the house it's 51.47 feet. This driveway gets a little crazy. We are at 1 inch equals 50. So if we have our engineer's scale, which is my blue one, I always keep the blue top. I represent red with the architect. If we're at 50 feet, 1 inch equals 50, I'm going to start scaling some of this stuff and just kind of seeing where I'm at. So, looks to be we're like right at a foot. The driveway is a foot exactly off the carport. So, grab my 1/8 scale and measure a foot. I'm going to go ahead and draw this in. Get it squared since I can't fit my T-square over there. But let's go ahead and draw it down. Well, and then basically, guys, we're going to measure each one of these little lines. And we're going to measure from here over, and measure from here down, kind of draw that little offset curve in. And then we're going to draw our driveway down. Then we're going to do the same. We're going to figure out where this sidewalk is. When we get that done, we're ready to draw these property lines, and our site plan is done. So, we'll measure down. Make markings on it. And you're going to see the back of my head for 1 second, but hang on. Before it offsets, we're down 7 feet. So I'll measure 7 feet down here with the 1/8 scale. Seven, I apologize. Measure down 7. And then this is where we're actually going to have this little 1 inch, 1 foot increment come off. But as you can see, we've gone ahead and extended all the way down and using this as a guideline. Go ahead and draw the other side down. So we have where the little offset is. It'd be a nice little place to put some shrubs. We're going to go ahead, we're going to measure down to the first of the sidewalk. Looks like we're at 11 feet. So we're going to take our other one, our 8 scale, we're going to come down and we're going to measure down 11 feet, ladies and gentlemen. That's where our sidewalk starts. So go ahead and draw my sidewalk like that just so I'll know it. The width of the sidewalk, again, you'll see the back of my head. $3 feet. So it'll make it easy to bore underneath that sidewalk, putting in irrigation pipe. Just mark 3 feet on one side with our T-square because everything's squared up. We've got our sidewalk coming off of our driveway. So voila. With our sidewalk, we're going to measure the length to the first turn. So we're at about 23 feet to over to that first turn. Take that back. We're at 28 feet. I apologize. Because here we see our 20 feet. Here we see our 40 feet. We're right at 30, marking 2 ticks back, 28 feet. So I'm going to measure over 28 feet. And I'm going to put a tick. Just put a little spot there. Then I'm going to measure the lower length of the sidewalk that's closer to the street to its first turn. And we're right at 35 feet. Always double check. About 35 feet. So there is our other tick mark. So I'm just erasing to where the actual sidewalk's going to turn. So next we're going to measure to where the porch is at 50 scale, and I'm going to measure it from the edge of the carport. I'm not going to measure the carport, but I'm actually measuring over, and I'm looking at about 32 feet, roughly, right at 32 feet. So from the carport, remember I'm measuring from the carport, I'm not measuring, I'm starting from this point. I'm actually measuring over 32 feet. That's my porch. And our porch, a 50 scale, is about 6 by 4. It's 7 by 4. So, put a mark at our 7. Got our porch. It's actually 4 feet in depth, and then we have a 1 foot step. So I'm going to go ahead and measure 5 feet down, 4 for the porch, 1 for the step. You know, and guys, I hope you're able to practice this at home. I know you're actually watching it and just seeing how it's done. You know, but when I teach this class live, it's a lot easier. You know, we have the vellum, we have the trash paper, we have the T-squares and triangles. And it's a lot easier to practice this and for us to do that. Well, next, guys, coming off the porch, I'm just going to go ahead and make me 2 little short lines. And then I'm going to measure. I'm going to measure to the first turn there. Now, I'm actually doing it off the house. We're coming down 9 feet from the house down to here. So I'm going to measure. Give me a little tick there. Didn't quite draw it. And voila! I do the same on the other side. From the house to the first mark. It looks to be about roughly 12 feet. So we're going to come down. I'm trying to get it so you guys can see. I'm at 12 at the house. I'm going to put a mark. Marking my 12 feet. Come down, and there I can connect these 2 lines, and that will give me the corners of my sidewalk. Pretty simple and cool. So our sidewalk is in, our house is done. I'm going to finish up this driveway because it's got the little offset parking, and then we're actually going to take this to probably another piece of trash and actually draw our property lines. Now, first thing to do, we're going to come over, we're going to measure off the corner of the house over to that little offset concrete parking path. We're exactly 3 feet from the corner of the house to right there. Exactly 3 feet. So I'm going to measure over 3 feet. And at this point, there is our offset that we come back to. That's off a little. Kind of drawing it in roughly, and I'll make it look better when we transfer it over. Then we're going to actually measure over. See how many feet that is from this point, from our point here to there, the actual width of that driveway. And it is 11 feet, ladies and gentlemen, 11 feet. So I come over and I'm going to measure off of the house 11 feet. Well, as you can see, we have our offset parking. Next step is to measure from here, the corner of the house, down to this offset. So the corner of the house down to the offset. Guys, I'm looking at about 37 feet. So we're going to come down and we're going to measure 37 feet off the corner of the house. Which is right there. So, at 37 feet, what we've got to do, this is our angle, guys. It's where that connects. So, then we erase that center part, and we have our offset parking. Voila. And I always stop at the property line. I never draw anything past the property line because what? We can't landscape, we can't irrigate past it. And this property line, they have a few feet setback, but I generally in my plans keep everything within the property line. So I'm just double checking, and from the property line to the corner of the house looks to be 42-ish, 43-ish. Double checking. .44 feet. So, 44 feet off the house. Is the bottom of the property line. At that point, go ahead and draw a longer line with that. That actually gets your house, your driveway, and your sidewalk. We're going to go ahead and stop this video right here, and we're going to go ahead and take this, and we're going to draw it a lot neater on a different sheet of paper. I mean, there are ways that we can add paper to the side, and as you can see, we can see through it. But I'm going to go ahead and neatly draw this on a piece of trash paper, center it up, and then I'm going to show you how we can draw in our property lines using a compass with the bearings. So this concludes video number 2, and we will work on video number 3 next, drawing the property lines to combine and have a total site plan.